let's do this. Let's jump to the next segment where we can talk about the ramifications of social justice stuff. Yeah. And this will be probably a little bit more outside your wheelhouse, but I'm sure you'll still be able to make fun of them, Ryan. So over in Virginia, the new law banning police from pulling over Virginia drivers solely for certain car safety violations. Officers can also not stop people if they smell marijuana. So in Virginia, they passed new legislation taking effect Monday. So I believe it's already taken effect.
Yeah, I think so.
Will make it harder for authorities in Virginia to pull over drivers. Several minor infractions, while still illegal, can no longer be the primary reason police stop you while you're driving. These include certain defective equipment, objects dangling from your rearview mirror, loud exhaust, tinted windows, and smelling marijuana, to name a few. An expired inspection or registration sticker can only get you pulled over. However, it has to be at least 4 months late. The legislation lists more changes here. Maybe we can pull these up and see what they got going on. Social justice advocates say this is a win. I think it's a first step. It's a huge first step, said Brad Haywood, founder and executive director of Justice Forward Virginia. Haywood said these violations have long been used to stop people for drug investigations and disproportionately target people of color. Well, I think it's I'm not going to read this whole law. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of crazy stuff in it. I do think it's kind of absurd that cops can't pull people over now because the original proposal was like Black Lives Matter protesters were saying they just pull over people of color and they use it as excuses. I think cops use things as excuses. I've had cops pull me over. I had a cop pull me over once, and as soon as I roll the window down, I put my keys and wallet on top of the dash. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I turn the radio off. He walks up, and the first thing the cop does is go, "Excuse me." "Oh, whoa! I smell marijuana." Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "I'm sorry." Excuse me?
That's my cologne.
I'm like, right. I just got off work. I was wearing my work jumpsuit from O'Hare, and I had worked a double shift. My car was full of Taco Bell wrappers, which is maybe why he thought he could get away with accusing me of smoking pot.
Pussy magnet, you.
And totally. No, you don't understand. When I mean full, I mean like the ground and the chair was a mound of Taco Bell wrappers.
His car is a moving trash can.
You were that guy?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a trophy.
I was like 19. No, but he pulled me over and he was like, "I smell pot."
magnet.
And I was like, "I don't smoke." And he's like, out of the car. I got cuffed. They searched my vehicle and tried planting pot in my car.
Yeah.
No joke. So I see stuff like this and I'm like, I understand, but it's also kind of crazy that someone could literally be smoking pot and the cop can't pull them over.
Well, if
it's
they
like,
see it, I think they still can, right?
I guess, it's just if they smell marijuana. But I mean, come on, if like, I grew up in Chicago, people smoked pot all the time, and what do they call it, clam bake or hot boxing?
Hot boxing.
A little bit of both.
It depends on where you're from in the country. Clam bake or hot boxing is when they close all the windows and then just the whole thing gets fogged up.
Yes,
like a
it
sauna.
is.
And I'm like, okay, so the cop can't see anything. It's just smoke, right? So when they open it, he says, "I saw smoke." They'll be like, "Well, what kind of smoke was it?"
Well, they can probably bust you if you're there and they walk up to the window now. They just can't stop you. But when is a cop going to smell it driving as you drive by? That's probably not very common, right?
It can happen, bro. You've never
Yeah.
driven past a car and you're like, whoa, those guys are going at it. Dude, you can see people driving in the smoke coming out of their windows.
You can definitely see it.
Yeah. No, but the bigger picture here is, are we getting to the point where the sensitivities over the social justice stuff are getting to the point where like a cop can't pull someone over for literally breaking the law?
It's obviously when you go to the extremes at any of these things. I always used to say like in comedy, because essentially there's like a war on noticing things, like because it's
a good point.
A big thing that you don't talk about is like, oh, women kind of do this more, guys kind of do this more, and you go, oh, it's interesting that black guys kind of do this or white, whatever it is, like that's base level, but noticing things that and then kind of that's funny, right?
Pattern discernment.
Literally.
So
noticing patterns in your brain, right? And
you're admitting to being a bigot.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So yeah,
there's a war. It's a war on noticing things where you go.
War.
But it's so manufactured and it's so fake, and so this is what happens when these things get taken to their extreme. But I agree with you that the cops do all that stuff. Put it this way: I used to have really long hair, like this guy, and I cut my hair. And I've never been pulled over since I cut my hair. And when I had long hair like him, dude, when I had long hair like him, twice at the airport, I was searched, my entire bag searched. I was pulled over for no reason lots of different times. And since I've cut my hair 10 years ago, never happened again. So, of course they do. And I've had cops do all sorts of crazy stuff. But
this is crazy. Let me read this. There's a quote. "Why should they be allowed to investigate people based on hunches when they have no evidence? Why don't we expect them to actually get probable cause for drug possession or gun possession before they pull a car over?" Hayward said. I read that and I'm like, that's kind of like oxymoronic. A hunch, that's what probable cause is. Like a reasonable you know, you have a
Reasonable
reasonable,
doubt. Yeah, suspicion.
probable cause is that you have a reasonable suspicion that someone is doing something.
That'd be a hunch.
Right? It sounds like a hunch.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things like
A
everything
reasonable
else.
one.
Yeah.
Where Tim, you go, most people for a lot of the problems, we'd go, do you think it's bad that, you know, there's these bad cops pulling people over? And you go, yeah. And I think most people go, that's a problem. And you go, what's the solution? They go, cops can't pull anyone else over. And you go, oh, no, that's not what I was.
That's totally reasonable.
Yeah, I wasn't saying that. And you're like, road pops for the boys,
Yeah.
dude. You know,
Dude, that's exactly
crack a pack of Mo Dries because the
Right.
boys are rocking out on the way to the cottage.
I think, you know, we need a visual representation of this idea where it's like exactly what you said. You know, it's kind of bad that like what is a statistic like, you know, 1 in a certain number of cops will do something. Defund all police, abolish all the cops. You know what I mean?
It's always the logical extreme of, okay, we don't want this. And I think so many things, like with the censorship and everything, it's the same problem. You go, most people, if me and you were having a conversation, they go, that was kind of mean what that guy did, you know? And we go, yeah, that was, you know, what was that guy doing at this party, calling that girl this or whatever, right?
Right to
and then,
jail.
yeah, and then he's like, I agree. And then the next day you found out he's like petitioning for laws that it's illegal to be mean at the party. And you go, well, that's not
Right.
You know, people want to legislate what they consider their morality. You know what I mean? It's like people want the government to be legislating their moral principles. And I think that's kind of, we don't all have the same moral principles.
Right. So this actually happened in Lansing. This is, I'm assuming this is Michigan, right?
Yeah, I think so.
They passed something similar. They say new guidelines. Lansing police won't stop drivers solely for minor infractions. They say the new guidelines are consistent with the department's goal of protecting citizens' rights while eliminating any aspect, inferred or otherwise, of bias-based traffic policing practices. So let me get this straight. You've got this happening in Michigan. You got it in Virginia. They're saying cops can't pull you over if your license plate is expired. All right, that's kind of a problem. I mean, you register your car for a reason. You're paying taxes. You're contributing. So the issue I have here, well, I wonder if the libertarians are all cheering.
There's
saying,
also
like,
a-
good.
I am
pull-
deep down. I am
For sure. But there's also the other element of making, you know, the most aggressive laws to force you into that position where you go, well, I don't know. Like you're all of a sudden
Right.
pro cop.
Yep.
And then they go, look at this guy. It's like Blue Lives Matter, dude. And they kind of, it's like they pick these extreme positions that everyone's like, I mean, that's a little crazy. And you're like, what? You know, they do
So-
it with, it's like with all the issues.
The issue now is basically all they're really saying is you don't have to get your license plate renewed
for 4 months.
for 4 months. So that's actually kind of fine, I guess. You get a 4-month buffer. Then what's the point of putting the sticker on your plate? Why bother going and getting a renewal if you know you can't get in trouble for it? You can't get pulled over
Right.
for it.
Could be like a COVID, like we're not going to make just like a little buffer that in case people can't afford to get their
Yeah,
license renewed or
But see,
something.
the point is cops are supposed to just give you a warning. So, well, not supposed to, but I think they should be supposed to. So
Sure.
when my plate expired on my car when I was like 19, the one full of Taco Bell wrappers, it was a different time.
Yeah.
I got pulled over.
The clam magnet.
Yeah, totally, dude. You have no idea. When those ladies saw the Taco Bell, they were like,
Ooh, is that Taco Bell?
no. They were like,
I'm about to unwrap my taco.
the amount of wrappers in your car must be clearly $10,000 worth of Taco Bell.
Oh, this guy's balling,
Wealthy
dude.
dude.
Oh, this
I
guy
don't
owns
need
the
rims.
Taco
See
Bell
it, yeah.
franchise.
Rims. I got the wrappers from Taco Bell. No, but
Are you Tim Bell?
when I got pulled over, the cop walked up to the car and he said, your plates are expired. And I was like, real? I was like, I don't know, man. I just got the car. I have no idea how this works. And he went, no problem. Just go get it fixed.
Dude, I've had
Have a
9
nice day.
burritos today. I can't deal with this right now.
I was like, officer, I ate too much Taco Bell. It's coming. No. He just walked up and he was like, get it updated. And I was like,
Yeah.
all right, thanks, man. And then I got pulled over again like a week later, and the same thing happened. Cop walked up and he goes, license, insurance, and he goes, your license plate's expired. And I said straight up, I was like, yeah, man, I just had a warning from a cop, and he told me to get registered, so I went to the thing, I got it filled out. I guess it's coming soon. And he went, okay, have a nice day. I suppose that's the kind of story where you hear these progressive leftists being like, when I got pulled over for an expired plate, they gave me a warning. Or
My
when I was going
privilege.
120 in a 35 school zone, they gave me a slap on the wrist.
Speeding is different.
Yeah, they're like, I killed a guy, and no one even knows yet. When a black guy does it, you go, what? You
No
killed a
one
guy?
even knows.
Like if you get pulled over for speeding and your license is expired, then you're in trouble.
License
In my
plate.
opinion, yeah,
Yeah.
if your license plate's expired. But if you just are, the
that's what they're
speeding
pulling
is
you over
is
for.
dangerous. Speeding can kill people. I think you should always.
know-
the cops should be very diligent about pulling over people for speeding.
So I think, I don't know, you made the point really well. It's you say, hey, isn't it kind of bad that sometimes cops pull people over for BS reasons? You're right. No cops shouldn't be allowed to pull anyone over. That's like a really extreme, crazy thing. But the issue I have with a lot of these stories from a scientific perspective is when like lived experience is not science. You know, were you following the Smith College thing that happened recently?
Will Smith went to college.
Will Smith went back to
James
college.
Franco style.
It's
just
back to college.
They're rebooting Back to
Open
School
marriage.
with Rodney Dangerfield. It's with Will Smith this time. No. So there's a school where there was this black woman and she was in an unauthorized area of the university eating. So the janitor was told, if anybody goes in there, just call the security. Security got called. They went there and they asked her. The cop was just like, what's going on? And she was like, I'm eating. And she's like shaking and filming him. And he was like, oh, okay. Sorry to bother you. Just, we weren't supposed to have anybody in here, but it's fine if you're here. And then she claimed it was this big, like super racist moment.
Yeah.
So the New York Times wrote an article saying it was a moment when her lived personal truth was at clash with the facts. The New York Times actually wrote that. So the problem I have is, how do we know, if like when someone says, I get pulled over for no reason, it's like the difficult thing is there's no control, right? We can't send one car down a rope, the same cop.
No.
And then with like an Asian driver and then a black driver and then a white driver and then see which one gets pulled over.
And there's multiple factors. Like some girls think that I'm like, if I'm
Super
talking to like
hot.
an Asian girl or whatever, and she's like, oh, you're being mean to me because I'm Asian, and I'm actually just being mean to her because she's a woman.
Right, exactly.
You never really know, right?
You're just trying to find ways to be offensive, and no matter what point you make, right?
Yes.
You're like, let me offend as many people as possible
Yes.
on this show.
You have to understand when I did say that, I meant Womexen.
Mixin.
I'm wondering if the X is pronounced like a Y.
I think it's pronounced XXX. And
Oh my gosh,
okay.
even
Triple
worse.
X.
So
Triple XN, which is Hunter Hearst Helms. Or no, that's Triple H.
Triple
Okay,
H.
Stop it. Get out of here.
they say it's pronounced.
The X is pronounced.
Winnings.
You're supposed to. It's the two arms, and there's a suck it under. That's the under contact.
right,
that's a
right.
subtext. They don't want you to know that.
Well, apparently the
X,
word
that's the X
Good to
factor.
know. Yeah,
the
yeah,
word's
yeah.
offensive to
That is the
everybody.
X factor.
So everybody's offended by it.
But no, you can't. Like, if everyone's had those experiences, and you go, and it kind of goes to why. I mean, I was saying the other day that like there's a lot of people that they're Fox News when it agrees with them, and they're CNN when it doesn't. Like, for example, if you say someone will go, okay, that different racial groups have different crime more, right? And they'll be like, obviously that's because of the system. And you go, okay, well then why do guys go to jail less than women? And they go, well, that's because women are less violent. And you go,
Right.
You legitimately switch between being Fox News and CNN
Right.
based on whether it's the group that you care about.
Because guys are more violent.
Yeah, well, exactly, right? I mean, and you go, obviously a lot of these things are a mix of, they're all multivariable things, but nuance is difficult and takes a lot of energy, and
Oh,
it's
it's
not
banned,
very
too.
good for activism.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, it's
Like
banned.
there's like legit scientific conversations are very, very hard to have on YouTube because they'll try and get you banned for talking about actual scientific studies. They'll argue the studies themselves were fake or bigoted or paid off, and it's like, so which paid off study do you pick? I guess like
Yeah.
it's all political.
I kind of have that same mentality sometimes when it's like, oh, you can't talk about this because you're a man or whatever it is. And I go, all right, give me a list of things that I'm not allowed to talk about, and let's avoid those subjects because I'm not about to hear you like just listen to you speak and be like,
Yeah.
zip it up.
That's basically what they do.
Yeah, you go, oh, you're not allowed to talk on this one. It's like, I guess let's move on then because that doesn't
Can't
sound
talk
very
about it.
interesting to me.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.